We did it. We won New MetaZoo's first ever organized play tournament. Let's dive into it.
Listen, tinted windows like I'm ghosting in a phantom frame. Engine ground like it's hungry out on fan flame.
New Jersey Collecticon was a blast. I had a great time meeting everyone. The staff was amazing. The artists were amazing. It was just truly an incredible weekend. The tournament took place on both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, you got to play 3 qualifying games throughout the day, and then depending on your record, you got to move on to Sunday, which was essentially the top 8. From there, it was a single elimination tournament, and thankfully, we were able to take home that first place trophy card. So huge shout out to the MetaZoo's staff for running the tournament and all of the other players who I got to play against. It was great meeting everyone and finally getting some competitive MetaZoo gameplay. That being said, I would like to go over my first place deck and kind of show you guys why I played certain cards and why I felt that Wei was the best caster to bring to an event like this at the end of the Torrential Tides meta. So this was my first place deck I brought to New Jersey Collecticon. I posted this on the metazoo.tcgdeckforge.com website for other people to check out. I played 68 cards because I think that is sort of the optimal amount of cards in a deck. That includes 50 main deck cards, which is the least amount of cards you can play. In the main deck, your 1 caster, your 2 starter Terras, and then I played 10 primary aura and 5 secondary aura. Wei's effect reads that each friendly equipment costs 1 less to play to a minimum cost of 1. So my strategy with this deck was to use all of the fire and air cards I could to clear out my opponent's side of the board, take out all their creatures, take out all of their equipment, and then use Wei's effect to cheaply play low cost creatures and equipment and flood the board on my side of the field. Diving into the starter Terras, I played River Bluffs Mural as my first starter Terra. This card was super important in the deck because Wei actually loses steam since you're playing all your cards so quickly for cheap costs. So this allows me to keep drawing as that happens. One of my goals in this deck is to always have 4 or less cards in my hand. And even though my opponent may draw sometimes off this effect, I think it's a lot more beneficial for someone playing Wei to have those draws. So this is a very important card in the deck. My other starter Terra I played was Blacksmith Fork Canyon. On successful mission, the winner may give +2 influence to an equipment in a different lane. A lot of my cards are equipment cards because of Wei's effect, or they're creature equipment cards, which also benefit off of this effect. And so this was a really good sort of utility card where if my opponent would damage a card of mine, I could win this lane and give 2 to a equipment or creature that I had and sort of prevent them from fully destroying it. So I think it was a pretty strong starter Terra, but not as strong as River Bluffs Mural for sure. Next I played Knife's Edge, which reads each equipment in this lane has +2 influence. I always recommend playing at least 3 Terras in addition to your starter Terras, just to get rid of annoying Terras that your opponent may play. And I think this is sort of the best low-cost fire Terra that Wei has access to. We play a lot of equipment, so getting +2 influence on top of each equipment you have in your lane or creature equipment card can definitely help a lot. Moving on to the aura, I played 10 fire aura, which you need to play 10, and then 5 air aura. Moving on to my creatures, I played, first of all, Drop Bear. Drop Bear was a very good card in a lot of situations. Its effect reads, on play you may deal 2 damage to a creature or equipment in this lane. It's a 2 cost, 3 influence creature. This card, you sort of get double the value out of 1 card. Not only do you get a creature on the field, but you get to pop one of your opponent's smaller creatures or equipment. And so this is a card I would search for a lot. It's just ultimately really good to play something down on the field and then get rid of something your opponent is playing. Next I played the 0 cost, 1 influence Headless Coal Miner. This is a creature equipment card. It's not very good late game, but at the beginning of the game, it really helps to be able to just drop a 0 cost card and pick up some quick points and get early lane control. Next, I played Headless Coal Miner, The Last Removed. It's a 2 cost, 4 influence creature equipment. Because it's a creature equipment and I'm playing Way, I actually got to play this for 1 aura. So playing a creature equipment that's 1 aura and 4 influence is really strong. And you also get the additional benefits of all the equipment cards I play in this deck. Next, I played Griddle Greaser Pete. It's a 1 cost, 1 influence creature. On play, discover 5, a fire creature, a fire equipment card. So I tested this deck without Griddle Greaser Pete because at first glance it doesn't seem like the strongest card, but it definitely helps a lot being able to search for things that you need or want, and it does sort of play against River Bluff's Mural to an extent because you're playing the card, draw another card now, and you might not be able to draw off of River Bluff's Mural as much, but the Discover 5 is really strong in sort of getting exactly what you want in certain situations. Next, I played Piazza Bird the Territorial, 2 cost, 3 influence creature. So this card just has a lot of utility packed into it. One of the things that comes in handy with this card is that it has the aura enhancement feature, so you can very sneakily get destruction off sometimes on your opponent just because you're playing Piazza Bird. It also has Soar, which is incredibly beneficial to pick up additional points, and because you're also playing air, you can move the creature around. Really, in practice, what this card ended up becoming was sort of bait. People would see this card and take it out almost immediately. I don't necessarily think it's the best card to take out, but maybe it's just because I was playing the legendary rare version and it's shiny, or because they read it and saw all the utility, but it ended up becoming a good card just for that reason, because my opponents would hyper focus on Piazza Bird and take it out or try and win the lane against the Soar, and it would allow me to take over the game in other ways. Next, I played 1 copy of Gassadithida. So Gassy was the only sort of high aura cost card I played. I only played 1 copy. I'm not even sure it really came up that much in the games I played during the tournament, but in practice, it helps a lot in sort of just closing out games. It's very difficult to deal with unless you have like a penetrating Screech. You can tap all of your untapped aura, and since you're at the end of the game, Gassy just becomes this giant creature that then deals 5 damage to each other unit in the lane and gives you points for every time it deals damage in that way. So it's a great way to close out games. I think it's worth running at 1, even though it's kind of playing against the River Bluffs tactic, because it's expensive and it might be a brick in your hand early game. Next, I played Bat Squatch, the 5 cost 6 influence creature. Originally, I wasn't playing this card, I was playing Tea Kettler instead, but the matchup I most feared was Dante, and Dante plays 2 cards that you sort of have to worry about that I also play in this deck, and those are Burst of Wind and Heated High Ground. Burst of Wind destroys creatures that have 4, or shatters creatures that have 4 or less costs. So this gets around that by being a 5 cost creature. And Heated High Ground does 4 damage, but Dante's effect allows you to do an additional 1 damage for 5 damage total. This has 6 influence, which also gets around the Heated High Ground plays that a Dante opponent may play. In addition, when it's the only friendly creature in the lane, it has +3 influence, and since this is a very equipment-heavy deck, you're able to just play Bat Squatch into a lane by itself and play equipment on top of Bat Squatch in that lane, and it becomes very strong very quickly because 9 influence is a lot packed into 1 creature. Next, I played Double Down Chip. Double Down Chip is just generically a good card. You can play it for 1 cost because you're playing Way, so it's a 1 cost 3 influence equipment, and on successful mission you gain 1 MP. I only played this at 2 because it's a unique card, otherwise I would probably play it at 3. A lot of times I would have 2 in hand, but Double Down Chip becomes an easy target, so people take out the first Double Down Chip and you're able to play a second one. But you can use this card to sort of dominate a lane you're already winning in, and because you're able to clear a lot of stuff off the board, you can quickly take 3 points in the lane double down chip is in, and 3 points over time adds up very quickly. Next, I played Fire in a Bottle. This is a great utility card, and as I think all of the bottles are, although I think this might, in my opinion, be the strongest bottle, just because you have the option to either draw 1 card or deal 1 damage to a unit. If you draw this card in your opening hand, your opponent is likely going to play some sort of 1 cost, 1 influence creature that you can quickly take out with a Fire in a Bottle and get an early game advantage. And if you can't do that, you can always just draw a card. So it's really a win-win. Next, I played Molten Hammer. It's a 2 cost, 5 influence equipment. With Way, you can play for 1 cost, and a 1 cost, 5 influence equipment is a lot of influence for 1 cost. So it's a very good card to play. Next, I played Burst of Wind. So my air engine was, in addition to Bat Squatch, was basically Burst of Wind and Penetrating Screech. So Burst of Wind is just another removal card. You can shatter a creature that costs 4 or less, and you can just, one of the main goals, as I said previously, was just to get rid of creatures and equipment that your opponent has. So this is just another option to get rid of an annoying creature. Penetrating Screech is a card you actually have to be very careful about when you play this card, as you don't want to use it too early. And if I drew a Penetrating Screech early, I would often hold it until the end of the game, waiting for my opponent to drop those higher cost cards that might turn the tide of the game. So in one match, I saw my opponent discover a Gasandithida, and I held the Penetrating Screech for almost 5 rounds, waiting for him to drop that Gasandithida, so that I could drop a Penetrating Screech and take it out. It's just a great way to get rid of generic threats. Next, I played Fireball. Fireball is really strong because it's only 1 cost, and you're wanting to play low cost cards in this deck. But dealing 3 damage to a creature, you'd be surprised how many creatures only have 3 or less influence. You can just take them out really quickly, especially early game. If you draw this card, it's fantastic. Next, I played Flaming Scattershot. It's a 3 cost strategy. This might be the best card in the entire deck, actually, because you're able to take out up to 3 units that your opponent controls. So if you get lucky and play this card at the right time, oftentimes you might have to wait. You can take out 3 cards for 1 card, which is just fantastic in keeping control of the board. Next, I played Heated High Ground. Deal 4 damage to a unit. Sticking with this theme of removal, 2 cost, 4 damage to a unit. Very strong. A lot of cards, again, have less than 4 influence, so they're easy to take out. Next, I played Sacred Flame. This is almost sort of a Pot of Greed style card where you can discover 5, a fire card, and then draw 1 card. This sort of allows me to get more cards into my hand. It's actually better late game. Maybe if someone takes away your River Bluffs mural, and because they see you're drawing so much, and you can kind of keep the momentum with fire going. And lastly, I played Surtur. Surtur is a 5 cost, 6 influence creature equipment. Because it's a creature equipment, I could actually play for 4 cost with Way. This is a great card for points, especially late in the game, because you can sacrifice an equipment and gain 2 MP. So if you're getting down to the final rounds in the game and you're just looking to close it out, in addition to getting whatever lane wins you can start sacrificing equipment and really ramp up the points at the end of the game.